This is an interesting story that kind of popped into my head. I remember this was back in in the late 80s when I was working with Jazzy Jeff. And we were working together all the time. And I made this observation. I said, you know what's interesting about Michael Jackson? He's always bringing in other talents and then using them on his project. Like he was using the guy from Guns N' Roses and Eddie Van Halen. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if we got some big names to work with you guys? And that got the wheels spinning in Jeff's head to get other like high profile Philly artists that would probably never work with Jeff and Will. And the name came up, Grover Washington Jr. And he just didn't know how to get in touch with him. And I think my wife was friends with Grover's lawyer at that time, or somehow through my wife, she had the connection. So I put the connections together, and Jeff came up with a song, and it's called The Groove, and it was on the album And in This Corner. And we got Grover Washington Jr. to record with Jeff and Will. And the interesting thing, Jeff puts everything together, and Grover Washington, he was in the studio, and this was down where Studio 4 used to be, and then it turned into Touch of Jazz. It was the basement studio of 444 North 4th Street, I think. It's in Philadelphia. And I remember sitting out in the hallway with Will, and we were just talking, and he somehow the conversation came up about his Rolex watch, and he was telling me that he wasn't going to wear his watch anymore. And the reason behind it, he told me, was when he was out in L.A., and he would hang out with celebrities, and I think it was Eddie Murphy and Mike Tyson, and that kind of really high-end celebrities. He said they were spending 10 to like 40 grand a night. He says, I couldn't keep up with him. And he says, I'm going to take off this Rolex. And he told me, I'm going to put it aside. And when the day comes that I can keep up with those guys, or I want to keep up with those guys, I'll wear my Rolex again. But he says it doesn't make sense to wear a watch like that. And that just seemed like his logic, which I thought was interesting. I mean, right now he can do whatever he wants. He's in great shape. But that was an interesting story. That song came out. It didn't get the traction that I thought it would get, but it's a pretty good song. So if you want to listen to it, go ahead. But Grover Washington Jr. with DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince was an interesting thing that came together. And I feel like I should get a little credit for putting it together. No money, just credit. Okay.